Hello class, Dr. Smith here. I want to talk to you today about the book critiques that you have coming up. First of all, I want to say that these are critiques. They are scholarly analyses of the books. So whatever book you've selected, this is to be your personal analysis of the book. It's not to be somebody else's analysis. You don't need to go borrowing from somebody else's book critique, reading other book critiques that you find online or in journals about this book that you've chosen. It needs to be your critique, not somebody else's. So don't even look at other book reviews of this book that you're doing. If you do, their vocabulary, their phrasing, their ideas will creep into your book critique. And what you'll end up with is an elevated safe assigned score and a possible plagiarism charge. So don't do that. This is to be your original work. On that note, remember that these are not narrative assignments. Do not use I, we, us, any of that. Write in third person objective language. Do not use contractions like don't, isn't, these sorts of things. Use standard academic formal English grammar. Don't use colloquialisms. So, as you're working through these book critiques, what am I looking for? Well, first thing I'm going to look for is a proper bibliographic or publication heading at the top of the page. That should be the very first thing I see, is single spaced the bibliographic heading as it appears in the sample that you will see in JETS if you go to the link there. And when you go to that link, it's going to take you to the HTML version of that. You don't want to look at that. You want to see the PDF version. So look for the tab that will take you to the PDF file of that book critique in JETS. And when you do, you'll see it as it's properly formatted. HTML doesn't preserve the formatting. JETS, the PDF does. So you'll see it properly formatted. So be sure you follow that exactly. There should be no footnotes whatsoever in a book critique. You should reference no work other than the book you're critiquing. And so all you need is a parenthetical page citation for your citations. Should be open parentheses, the letter P, period, space, and then the page number, close parentheses, and then the period for the end of the sentence always comes after, never before, always after the parenthetical citation. So, those are just the mechanics of it that I'm looking for. Now, your book critique should not have section headings. It shouldn't have divisions. It should begin, though, with one, you should identify what the thesis of the author is. What is it that the author is trying to argue or prove in this book? Secondly, there should be your own thesis. What are you going to argue or prove about this book in your book critique? Is it a good book? Is it a bad book? Is it a mediocre book? Was it helpful? Was it not helpful? These are the kinds of questions you want to answer in your thesis statement. Then, you want to give a short summary of the book, 2, maybe 3 paragraphs to summarize the entire content of the book. So really compress that down, because the bulk of your critique should be analysis. An analysis is this. You want to look at the book in terms of how well did the author support his argument. Those are your strengths. You're looking for evidence and reasoning that supports what the author is trying to prove in the book. You're looking for, in terms of weaknesses, things that maybe the author overlooked, that he didn't include in his argument that could have strengthened it, or things that he didn't include that could have taken away from it, but he chose to ignore that, overlook that, in order not to detract from his thesis. And so he's not addressed all the evidence. Or possibly you're looking for things that were in the book that were a distraction from, that took away from the strength of the thesis, that detracted from the strength of the book. So these are the kinds of things you're looking for. You're not looking for editorial mistakes. You're not looking for stylistic issues. You're looking for substance. Substance that adds to or takes away from the strength of the book overall. And then you want a closing paragraph, as the rubric describes it, that summarizes the overall usefulness of the book in its field of study. So you want that closing paragraph where you bring it all down and you summarize it and you show in that closing paragraph that you've proven your thesis by looking at the evidence. So that's what we're looking for. And then, of course, below that, flush right on the bottom of the page should be your name and city, that sort of information. The body of the book review should be double spaced. The bibliographic or publication data should be single spaced. And remember, no footnotes, no bibliography. The only work you should be engaging in this is the book itself. Thank you, and I hope you all do very, very well.